You can also do more specific vibrations, so more of a when you're using your fingertips. So I'm pressing in, and there's a lot of attachments here and stuff going on right here. So I'm coming in here, pushing in with friction, and then I'm gonna just vibrate it as I go. Does that feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of go up and down with vibration. When I go down like this, I don't press as hard, and then I'm always pressing the hardest towards the heart. And then I like to do what I call make nice, which is just some effleurage kind of flushing strokes. And now I'm going to do some friction on the foot. All right, so for the feet, I like to use my thumbs. It's kind of like the pinning thing that we did when they were face down. So you can kind of still do that this way. Is this the bad foot?
No.
Okay. It's the other one.
Yeah, and that one's starting to heal really well, so that should be good a couple more days.
Okay. So I like to do this because I have a reflexology background, I like to do the foot in the 5 zones. So what that means is like each toe, if you follow it down to the heel, is a zone. So I'll kind of pin at the base of the first zone and go up to the toe. You can even kind of press in between the toes here and kind of wiggle it. So in my mind, I'm kind of imagining like creating space in between each toe bone. Does that make sense? Okay, so we'll go up the second, up the third, and there's usually a lot of crunchies in the pads of the toes, so I always will sometimes go over it a couple times and kind of like work out those adhesions. And then once I get closer to the inside of the foot, I like to switch hands. So now my other hand is doing the friction. And I tend to use kind of my second joint a lot on my thumb when I'm doing stuff like this, because when I push in like this, it's a little bit harder, like on the joint. So sometimes I'll just press from here, like squeeze and stuff from there. Something to think about. And then circular friction through the arch usually feels pretty good. And you can also do knuckle work. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it's hard to be on your knees like this, you can get a stool and do stool work like this, or you can get like a bolster or a pillow and put it under your knees. Sometimes when I do in home massage, I don't bring a stool because it's just like another thing to carry. And I just ask if they have a pillow I can kneel on, and I'll just do all my work kneeling. But the older we get, the harder that is to do, or at least that's what I've noticed. So coming back to the feet, between the toes, I like to kind of run my fingers between them, and sometimes you can't even feel the individual bone. Like it just feels so solid. So in those cases, I kind of pinch there and kind of hang on to it, do a little vibration with it. But really you should be able to kind of wiggle the toes and feel the bones move. So this is a good spot. This is where like hammer toes can happen and all sorts of like bunions and everything. So a lot of times when people have stuff like that, it's just really tight right there. And just pinching it and holding it, maybe wiggling it, super helpful. The other place they get really locked up is right here in the ankle. So I like to kind of like squeeze it. And really I'm like pushing, I'm squeezing and pushing in. and just kind of creating some space. So with gymnastics for the front, you can do more of this kind of stuff if you like. I find that it's kind of hard to stretch the foot. I think it's better when you're face down, so you don't have to do it face up. You can just do like little circles with their joints and just try and get it to relax as much as you can. And then we'll go into the other gymnastics. So I like to effleurage up. We're gonna untuck here so that we have this here. You're going to come and lift the leg. You're gonna pull this, and I'm gonna have you hold on to this right here. Okay. Having them hold it makes them feel more secure because you're like moving their leg around. So I'm gonna move your leg around. All right, so coming up here, I'm gonna just push your knee towards your shoulder and let me know when you feel a stretch. Is it feeling okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just
It's
gotta take steps. And here we go. So you definitely want to move your body as you go. And sometimes you just like totally lean into people. Do you feel anything yet?
A little bit.
So the next step is to grab the head of the table. Is that good, or
We're fine.
do you,
It's
want,
just making me giggle, honestly.
do you want it to go further?
You can if you can get it.
Taking a step. The trick is to go slow though,
I feel it in my calf now.
more than the hamstrings.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay, now I feel it in my hamstrings. It just takes a second for it to catch up.
You can tell it's like, I mean, you guys are gonna learn this stuff in sports, and it's hard. Because in this position, then there's this thing called strain, counter strain, and so like they contract and fight you while you're in this position. Do you feel like you can go further?
If you can get it.
Yeah, I can do it.
like a challenge.
It's just whether or not it's worth it for you. Like if it feels good.
I honestly don't feel anything slight strain, but not much. I'm feeling a little numb.
Are you still feeling any of your calves?
It might be because of your shoulder.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna come out of it real slow. And I like to kind of shake it as I bring it down just to kind of reintegrate it. Little vibration. And that is the only one we can do really there. I'm gonna have you keep holding that. The other thing I like to do, this is like a passive psoas release. But you bring it out here. Does that feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put it in my hip, and I'm gonna press it in. And I hang out here until I kind of feel it relax. And then you slowly bring it back in. And like a relaxed kind of, so it almost feels like it's fighting you and then it just stops. It's kind of the best way for me to describe what it feels like when it relaxes. So you guys can kind of play around with that. And then we'll go into, oh, I forgot Tapotement on it. Tapotement is the next one. So again, after I'm done with gymnastics, I like to still reconnect. You are welcome to let go of the drape now. Since we're just doing Tapotement, I'm not gonna like retuck this. I think we should be good with the drape kind of being down because you can Tapotement over it. All right, so effleurage up. Are you okay with Tapotement? Mm-hmm. Try not to smack them at the same time. There's gotta be a rhythm. And then out here, I feel like you don't want it to put right over the shin, or like directly on it. You can do the pluck on it. You can also do tinier. This one actually does feel pretty good on shin splints because your shin splints they're so tight that yeah, I don't know if anyone's had shin splints recently. They're so painful. And I can't even tell if massage really helps. You can